Hi, I'm Brooke here with MeatRx, a coach here. And today I'm talking to Andrew, who's going to share with us his journey on the carnivore diet. Hi, Andrew. How are you?
I am doing fantastic. It's exciting to be here and to share the success that I've been having and hopefully help some other people out.
Yes. Thank you so much for taking the time. It's really good to talk to you. So I'll just start with what brought you to the meaty carnivore diet? What was going on for you?
Oh, I was in bad shape. I was probably 70 pounds overweight, type 2 diabetic. My blood pressure was massively out of control. I tried everything. I tried vegetarian. I tried low GI diets. I tried reducing red meat. I tried reducing vegetables like potatoes and stuff, and nothing was working. And I had a commercial driver's medical coming up, and my doctor's like, if you don't get your blood pressure under control, I'm going to pull your license. And my daughter said, I've been looking into this. Maybe you should try carnivore. And I'm like, this doesn't sound like it's going to work, but I'm desperate. So, okay. And I tried
Wow.
it.
Yay, daughter. That's awesome.
And, like I had IBS, I had hypertension, I had type 2 diabetes. I work outside at a physical job. So, having to go to the washroom like 4 or 5 times a day, I just felt like absolute crap all the time. And I said, well, you know what? At this point, I've got nothing to lose. And so I started, and the first month was kind of rocky. You go through all the cravings and like, oh, I have to have some chocolate. And it was bumpy at the beginning. But then I got into it and the weight just started coming off. I went from a 42-inch waist to a 32-inch waist. I'm wearing the same size pants that I did in high school.
Was that in the first couple months?
No, that took about a year
Mhm.
to lose all that weight. Like we had all this, everything being closed due to COVID, kind of halfway through, and I started putting a little weight back on. But like I said on my meme there, I lost 80 pounds of fat and gained 20 pounds of muscle.
That's
So I'm actually in almost as good a shape as I was 25 years ago. And it's just been a mind-blowing experience.
So was it a steady progression, or did you have any setbacks in the first few months when you're adapting to the diet?
I wouldn't say there were any long-term setbacks. There were lessons where, okay, I'm going to cave in and eat this garbage that I shouldn't eat. And then you realize how heavily you would pay for eating things that are not good for you. A good example is with my job, I'd stay in camp frequently. And, they have all sorts of cakes and cookies and desserts. And getting the chef to, oh, okay, I only need the meat and the eggs. I'm good. Took a little while, but I got the cook on board. And then I was reading something that said, oh, you should be metabolically flexible. So I had 2 cookies and I felt like crap for 2 days. So I'm becoming increasingly sensitive to those kind of things like, oh, I'll just have a jelly bean. Why not? Right. And the longer you do this, the more sensitive you probably know you become to these things. And just after a while, until you'll forget once in a while, but you more or less learn the lesson. Okay, if I stay on the path, I will get where I'm going. Right.
Yeah,
So,
I think actually the longer you do it, it's possible that you can see that you can be more metabolically flexible. But certainly at the beginning, you see that difference so dramatically, and who wants to go there?
no, pretty well. Yeah. And I haven't been doing carnivore by itself. I've always been kind of not really OCD, but I like to flesh out all the details and learn everything I can about something. And so I looked into different methods of weight training and like some of the old school stuff. that they would do for diet. Like there was a guy named Vince Gironda who did the 36 egg diet. So I try to eat a dozen eggs every day because that boosts your testosterone. And as an older male, that's a good thing. And as somebody who's trying to get fit, that's a good thing. So I am carnivore, but I've got a little twist on it that I eat as many eggs as I can every day. Sometimes it's 6, sometimes it's a dozen, but it really helps.
Well, that is within the carnivore diet, animal food, nutrient-dense animal food. So eggs are certainly part of the carnivore diet. Sometimes it's triggering for some people, but obviously it works for you. So let me just ask you, what did you start eating when you started the carnivore diet? What were you eating? What did you start eating?
Well, going from standard North American diet, it was a bit of an adjustment. And then when I started, I tried to eat all beef, and my wife's like, I am not buying you 21 ribeye steaks a week. That's too expensive. So I started eating, like ground beef and some ground pork. And I found that pork steaks, they're really high in fat. I love the taste. To me now, like the weird thing is fat is like candy. The same way that I could pig out on a bowl of ice cream or a fistful of chocolates, I get that same satisfaction from eating a really fat beef steak or pork steak, which is, I think, my taste buds are becoming uncorrupted, for lack of a better word to put it.
And what were your reactions the first couple weeks?
Well, the IBS got worse for a little while before it got better, which is kind of terrifying, but I lived through it. And then I noticed, hey, like the first week I lost 7 pounds, and then I lost 6 pounds a week after that. And it didn't stay at a really high rate. It slowed down till I think I was averaging about a little over 2 pounds a week. And I was just getting thinner and thinner and thinner. It was like a Stephen King novel, right? And then I'm like, I'm starting to feel a lot better than I used to feel. And my energy level started to rise and to rise. And I wasn't tired all the time anymore. And I'm like, wow, this is amazing. I mean, I owe a big shout out to my daughter. And I probably wouldn't have done this without her, so she deserves a lot of credit. But the way I feel now at 55, I didn't feel as good at 33. At 33, I worked indoors, but I worked crazy hours, and I was powerlifting and all this stuff. And in about a year living like this, I'm almost back where I was. So it's like, wow.
And were you on medication for any of these things happening for yourself before carnivore? Were you on medication?
My doctor had me on 2 pills, which were 3 separate hypertensive medications. Like I was saying, if I went off my pills, my blood pressure would go up to like 300 over 200 kind of area. And he's like, if you don't fix this, you're going to have a stroke or a heart attack, right? And so I went back in to see the same doctor for my driver's medical. And he's like, your blood pressure is amazing. What happened? He goes, you're taking your pills. I said, no, I haven't taken them in 6 months. He goes, you're kidding, right? And I go, no. I said, look at my chart. I lost like 65 pounds. And he's like, how did you do that? How come you're not on the pills anymore? I mean, you have to bring it down another 5 points, but your blood pressure is amazing. What did you do? And I told him, I'm doing carnivore. He goes, that can't work. I'm like, you've got my file right in front of you. So, I mean, the evidence is there. You can look at it for yourself. Read this book by Dr. Baker. Read this book by Dr. Saladino, and so on and so on. He goes, if it was anybody else, I'd say forget it, but I'm going to look into this. So I guess next time I see him in a few months, he's going to be like, oh, wow, But I was on high dosage hypertensive medication. I still have asthma, but I don't need the inhaler anywhere near as much. It's like once every couple of days instead of burning through a blue inhaler in like a week. I really didn't have anything that I took prescribed for IBS. The chronic fatigue prior to Carnivore was absolutely horrific. Like getting out of bed in the morning was a chore. But now, like I said, I wake up rested and ready to go. I'm up at 5:30, 5:45, and I'm out the door in a couple of minutes after eating breakfast, and I'm good to go for a long day. If I need to skip lunch, I can skip lunch. And guys at work are like, "Oh, you're not having lunch? How do you do it?" I'm just eating a nutrient-dense diet that's appropriate for my species. And and there's another guy at work that's been doing Carnivore for 2 years, and he's like the same way. He goes, "Isn't it amazing?" And well, I didn't know him at the time, but he's been doing that. Had very similar experience with the. I don't know if he had any previous illnesses or not, but he says he just feels amazing, and it's very much a positive experience to have. Okay, I'm not the only one. I'm not an anomaly. This is consistent with what I've read. So
Yes. That sounds like a great success story. Do you, the IBS, did you have that through most of your adult life, those kinds of symptoms?
I had it, but it was minor until I ate tainted food back in 2012, and then it just got exponentially worse almost overnight. And then, I mean, I worked an outdoor job where, I'd have to run to the bushes literally to go to the bathroom, and it's nice not to have to do that. I'm still kind of not 100% confident, but the experience is like, oh wow, the expression I guess was "don't trust a fart." So now I can go through the whole day without having to worry about when the next time I can find a washroom is. Mm-hmm. So it's been a big change for work too.
And how long has it been since you've been eating a meat-based diet?
This I should probably give you a little bit of backstory. I grew up in a house where being vegetarian was part of my mother's religion, and I lived that way for probably 10 or 15 years. It made me underweight, undernourished, hypoglycemic, a whole laundry list of things that were wrong with me metabolically. And then I said, if something's supposed to be true, it shouldn't damage you. And I kind of walked away from that. And at about 25, ate a standard North American diet. I still had problems, but I had different problems, and they took longer to develop till about a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, when I was severely overweight and hypertensive. And then about a year and a half ago, it was, I guess, July, a year and a half ago, roughly, that I started Carnivore. The first month was pretty bumpy, and after that, I've been really, really strict. Like the guy I was telling you about, he's like, "Wow, you're super strict." He goes, "I have a little rice now and again and stuff like that." And I just find it so easier to stay 100% disciplined than it is to deviate from the norm and pay the price. So,
yes, a simple diet is definitely the easiest. The simpler you are, I think. Yeah. Well, mm-hmm. Necessity is the mother of invention. So you came to this very simple, nourishing elimination diet and finding great success. And it's great that you have impressed your doctor, your physician. And I'm curious, have you impressed your wife?
My wife is trying to be carnivore. It's more of a challenge for her because she's a different personality than I am. And she's working on it, and she's doing really well. She's got some health things that she wants to get dialed right in, and she's working on it. Ironically, my daughter, who told me I should try carnivore, I don't know whether she's doing it or not. So,
So they've all seen your changes and your improvements. So, what kind of feedback have you gotten from friends and family? I know your physician seems to be amazed by the labs.
well, I'm not really a social butterfly, so I kind of go about my thing. And the few people that are my friends have noticed, oh, you look pretty good. Glad it's working for you. And I was working with some different people, and like, what, do you have cancer or something? You lost a lot of weight. I'm like, no, I'm just eating the way I should. And, well, what is that? I'm just eating carnivore. You can't eat just meat. You need vegetables and stuff. I'm like, I haven't had any vegetables in over a year. The last time I had vegetables was cauliflower at Christmas last year, and I thought I was going to die. So the abdominal cramps are horrific. And one of the guys at work, you're going to die if you do that. You'll have a stroke or colon cancer or something. You eat vegetables. I'm like, no, I don't.
You've had a life of vegetables, and and you got to where you got to.
Yeah, it's like I said, I'm in a unique position when I come to, oh yeah, carnivore works, because I tried everything else before that. I've tried vegetarian, I've tried low glycemic index, I tried, more potatoes, less potatoes, more corn, less corn, cutting out all these things, and none of them solve the problems that that I was facing. And carnivore, I was starting to feel better within about 2 or 3 months. And once I passed that year marker, then it just really took off. I'm going to go to the gym after we have our call today, but a year and a half ago, I decided I needed to do something about my health, and part of that was going back to a gym. So I went to the gym, and being away from the gym for a while, but I've always been the one to kind of track what I was doing. I was bench pressing roughly 120 pounds. And the other day, and that was just a couple of sets the other day when I went to the gym, I was benching 230 pounds, which is pretty close to 285 record that I was setting in my 30s.
Wow.
And that's a massive change in health. Like, I kind of took the carnivore thing and said, well, a lion doesn't have to run strong, it's strong, right? So, and I do a physical outdoor job, so strength is more important than being faster. So, and I even went through the process before I became carnivore. I went running to try and lose weight, and it helped a little bit, but this carnivore kind of like was the magic pill. I mean, it took time. I feel so much empathy for people. Oh, it's been 2 months and I'm not getting that better. Follow the process. Wait. You'll get better. I promise you'll get better, but just be patient. So.
That sounds fantastic. What do you eat now, your regular day?
A regular day, like I said, I travel a lot, so I have to work within, this is what I can get here, this is what I can get there. Breakfast is usually 4 to 6 soft, sunny side up eggs, a couple of pork sausage or a couple of rashers of bacon. If I'm at home, then I'll have bacon and eggs, but I'll have more eggs, like 6 eggs, maybe 8 eggs. If I have lunch, it's probably chicken wings or ground pork. I have like a little electric lunch box that I can plug in the truck, and it warms up my lunch. And then I can have a hot meal, or ground beef for lunch. And then for supper, I try to have a beef steak, like the restaurant next to where I'm staying right now has a ribeye special. So I've been having ribeye every night of the week.
Nice.
And I've been feeling fantastic. My diet doesn't really change except when I have a day off. Um, then I'll go to the gym before breakfast and work out, and then I'll have like a big breakfast of like 6 eggs and a whole whack of bacon and stuff. But that's pretty much it. It doesn't vary at all, and I don't really feel it. People are like, "Oh, I miss different things." I don't miss it.
Do you drink coffee?
That's one thing that I'm still struggling with. I should cut back on my caffeine intake. The amount of caffeine that I do drink would probably kill a normal person, but one battle at a time. So,
Yeah, it sounds like things are working for you. Sounds great. Did you find the support you needed? Sometimes for people when they are on a carnivore diet, they feel alone because everyone else is eating different foods. Did you have support? Did you find support? Did you use MeatRx, for instance?
I would look up articles on MeatRx. That goes down 2 different pathways. I found my family very supportive, and I'd come home from work, and I'd show my daughter how I can do my belt up another notch, right? And she's like, you lost more weight and all this. So my family's been very supportive. It's been encouraging for my wife because she's watched my success, and she's like, well, I really should get serious about it. So that's been good. Work's been, some of my coworkers have been good, but for the most part, like, I'll bet you stop eating like this within a few months. And we had a really bad day at work one time, so I had like a couple of Skittles. I bought a bag of Skittles and I ate 3 of them, and I threw the rest of the bag away. And it's like, I'll bet you within like 3 months you're eating like you used to eat. And I'm like, no, I'm allowing myself this little bit because I'm having a really rough day. But after today, no more. And you'll go back to how you were eating before. No, I won't. So, I mean,
Do you have cravings of certain foods?
pardon me?
Do you have cravings for certain foods?
Not anymore. I mean, once in a while I'll have like a jelly bean or something just because they're there, and then I remember, oh yeah, that's why I'm not eating them, because I'll feel like crap for a couple of hours. But after it, I had cravings for probably first 6 or 8 months, and sometimes, especially in the beginning, it was like, oh, I'm dying for a chocolate shake or whatever. It was, I'll be honest, wasn't easy, but I just read some of the MeatRx articles, and I would watch Michaela Peterson on her YouTube video, Don't Eat That, over and over again, like to kind of like, I want to get past this. And I would feel inspired, just kind of wait, follow the process, wait. And it all passed after a while, and we're good now. I mean, with the exception of, like I said, like literally a jelly bean here and there. I've been like almost as much as vegans tend to be religious about what they eat, I tend to be just as bad in the other way, but except I don't run around, oh, you shouldn't eat that. I mean, if someone says, oh, my MS is flaring up, I'm feeling crappy today, I'll send them a link for either, MeatRx so-and-so is doing better with their MS or their Lyme disease or something. I won't push. I'll just, you consider this. And a couple of people are kind of interested in and taking a bite of the ribeye. I can't really say taking a bite of the apple, but people are starting to be more open to it. Most of my coworkers know, but
Well, I'm sure you're just a stunning example for the people in your life because you've had so many great improvements. And I'm really happy for you that your
Thank you.
daughter introduced you to, gay daughter, yay daughter, that introduced you to the carnivore diet and sort of has really transformed your health. It's great.
Mm,
And
um,
thank you for sharing this, because I think it's going to help other people too.
yeah, I still sometimes I can't believe it. Like I never thought I was going to get past some of these things. I thought the IBS was there forever. I thought I would have to struggle with my weight.
Yeah.
My dad was like skinny as a rail till he was in his mid 40s, and then he blew up to like 220, 230, and never got the weight off the rest of his life. He passed away when he was 86, and I thought, okay, that's the way my genetics work. That's the way this is going to be, and it's almost emotional realizing that you can get your health back.
Absolutely. You can be your lean and strong self like you've done, you've shown. It's awesome. Good job.
Yeah,
Saved your
thank
life.
you.
Yeah.
Yeah, literally, I probably would have had a heart attack in a few years. So, my circulation's great now. I can't believe it. It's amazing.
Well, thank you, Andrew. I'm glad you're in the carniverse with me.
Thank you too. I mean, if anybody out there is like, oh, maybe I should try this, trust me, this is the way to go. You want your health back, be a carnivore.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you for spending some time with us.